Are you in your 50s or even 60s and find yourself caring for one of your aging parents? Well, in this video, and you're hanging out with Popsy Guy, we're going to talk about three things that you should pay attention to. Not really mistakes to avoid, because trust me, you will make mistakes, but three things to be sensitive to as you go on this journey um, that will hopefully bring you closer to your aging parent, and then hopefully you'll be able to learn something. Do me a favor. You're not the only one who's been in this position. What I'd like you to do, and hopefully you'll do this, is share your experience with the community because it's not easy, right? As we age, we start to realize that we've got a lot more behind us than we do in front of us. And if you have an aging parent and you're in the 50s or 60s group, chances are good they're in their early 80s all the way through their mid 90s. And it's hard to see, right? I mean, as joyful as it is to see our adult children grow, it's harder for us to watch our aging parents basically diminish in capacity in front of us. That's hard. I know it is. I've been through it. And if you're going through it, I want to give you some encouragement because it's unfortunately, as you and I both well know, life does not last on this earth forever. We know there will come a day when we're not responsible for caring for that parent because they've passed away. But that doesn't make the process any easier knowing that. Matter of fact, it makes it more difficult because you start thinking about the end. So let me give you the three things that I think will help you during this process. First one is remember, I'll use my own example. My dad was 30 when he had me. Okay. So think about all the things that you did when you were 30 years old. All the things that you took for granted, flying up a flight of stairs, running to chase a football down, hanging out with your friends. At 30 years old, man, you got your whole life ahead of you. Well, now, 60 years, I'm 62. My dad passed away a couple of years ago. He was 91. It's the same guy who was 30 years old when he had me, but he couldn't do the things that he used to be able to do. And trust me when I tell you, he knows that. And you know that. And so here's something, just from my own experience, something that I had to continually check myself with is I had to remind myself that he couldn't do the things he used to be able to do, but in his mind, he thought he could. So just like raising little kids, I found myself trying to protect him. One of the funny stories I have is, my dad had some, mobility issues, wouldn't use a wheelchair. He wasn't wheelchair bound, but he needed a cane. And I would go over his house and we'd chat for a while. And I say, hey, let's go out and get something to eat. And it, take his time. And I want to talk to you about that as well, because that could be a frustrating experience in its own right. But he would grab, his keys, his wallet and everything. We're getting ready to go. And the cane would be right there at the door. And he'd start to close the door. I said, hey, Dad, are you going to bring your cane? He goes, no, I don't need that. So, oh, okay. And then, of course, without fail, we'd be walking along and he'd be starting to slow down and having to hold on to the wall. I said, boy, wouldn't it be good to have a cane right now? He goes, no, I don't need that. And it just, we'd joke with each other. But it was frustrating for me because I'm thinking, dude, if you would just listen to me, get your cane, everything would go quicker. But that was the mistake I made. I'm thinking he's okay using a cane. No, no, no. The 30-year-old dad was like, that's just for old people. And I got to tell you, my dad never considered himself an old person. He lived in an apartment building and he would say, all these GD old people here. And I'd look around and say, you are the oldest one in this building. You realize that? Ah, no, it's not the same. Anyway, so I had to learn that, yeah, I could give him instruction or I can give him opinion, but he would do what he wanted to do because in his mind, that's what he used to do. So that's something I had to learn, as I just said, is pick my battles, right? And they were really battles. They were just, is this necessary? Yeah, in my mind it was. But then I'd walk next to him, make sure he didn't fall. So I just joked with you about getting ready. This is the second thing, that if you can avoid getting frustrated because your parent, your mom, your dad just doesn't move as quick as you'd like them to move. And they can't do the things as quickly as they used to do. But you're in a hurry. You got to get someplace. You got to get to the doctor's appointment. You wanted to go to pick up the prescription. You want to do these things. And, you probably have things that you have to do during the day. And then you ask your parent, hey, can you get ready? We're going to go. And it's like having a 4-year-old. They hear you, but they don't do it. Or when they do it very slowly, not because they want to upset you, because tying shoes isn't as easy as it used to be. Getting a jacket on isn't as easy as it used to be. So you find yourself almost doing it for them and being frustrated that, hey, how come you can't do this yourself? Again, they've lived a long time. They've done that activity, whether it's tying their shoes or putting on a coat, a gazillion times. It's just slower. And sometimes they lose their confidence and can't remember how to do it. That's frustrating, but don't be frustrated. Remember, they know, your aging parent knows that they can't do the things that they used to be able to do as quickly as they used to do them. Joke about it, talk about it. Somehow make it easier for you and for them to enjoy the time you have left together. And then the third thing, so you want to make sure that you just nutrition. I say that because I'm using my dad as the example. So my dad, I was just sharing this with my wife and we were laughing about it. I told her this was going to be the topic of this video. So you could buy him all the vegetables and the fruits in the world, make them look good, put them on a plate, pass them over. And while you're sitting there, he'd take a bite or two and that's it. And then as soon as you leave, he throws them away. He has no use for that stuff. But you, as the adult child in this relationship, want him to eat his vegetables. You want him to have some fruit. What my dad wanted was a bacon, sausage, egg, and cheese croissant from Dunkin' Donuts. And I would come in and I would open his freezer just to see what was going on. And yeah, I did all the shopping. And there'd always be an extra gallon of ice cream in there. I don't know how it got there because I didn't buy it. But he had secret support that would help him do some things like cookies. Oh, I bought him so many cookies. Anyway, I'm kind of getting off topic here. We laughed about it because we knew, hey, you're not going to live forever. So eating better, in his opinion, and I wasn't going to argue with it, wasn't going to give him that much more quality of life because his physical health was declining, his mental health was declining. All these things were declining. So having an extra serving of fruits and vegetables, in our opinion, wasn't going to really have that much of a good effect on him. Matter of fact, he used to joke, he says, why do I want to continue to live like this? So anyway, I just want to share with you, those are the things that you may want to pay attention to as you go through this process, that they know that they're slowing down, that they think they can do the things that they used to be able to do, and they will tell you what you want to hear. Lastly, this is a bonus one. Pay attention to their money. There's so many scams, and a lot of older people are very, very gullible, and that's why they're the number one target for scams. Even if your parent is pretty tech savvy, do two things. One, take their phone and start scrolling through. See who's contacting them. See what text messages they're getting. See what phone calls they're getting. They'll say, oh yeah, I don't pick up phone calls, I don't answer text. But trust me, when they're by themselves and they've got nothing else going on, these scammers know that. They start to look pretty attractive and they'll start answering. And that's the going down that rabbit trail, and that's where the big problems start. So the other thing too is if your parents still write checks, which a lot of them do, go through the check register, see where the money is going. Go on their online bank account. Be insistent that you want access to these things, because someday you're going to have to find out where the money is. And they, like little kids or even teenagers, will be embarrassed to tell you that they made a mistake or they got scammed or they spent money and they didn't realize it. You don't yell at them, obviously. You don't berate them just like you would not do that to your child. You basically say, I understand. Let's see how we can fix it. And do me a favor, mom, dad, next time something like that comes up, give me a call. We'll talk about it. You'll have somebody to walk you through it instead of just making the decision on your own and ending up in this spot. Anyway, I just wanted to get this off my mind, put it on your lap. Hopefully you'll put some comments in, maybe even like the video and share the video. Subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. It'll help the channel immensely. But I would love it if in the comments y'all would talk and share those experiences, because you need the support. Regardless, I just want to make sure that I've stayed in touch with you today, and I thank you very much for hanging out with Popsy Guy. See you on the next one.